recording if you don't mind.
All
Right.
right, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Now you could,
Hackathon. Hazel, would you make every effort to take minutes? No answer.
Hazel? Yeah, I'm gonna take them.
Yeah, okay, Hazel's gonna take.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay, what time is it?
7:06.
7:06. Okay, Metro North train comes in within 10 minutes. They're on time, right?
As long as it's within 6 minutes, yeah.
6 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're on time. Okay. Good evening, everybody. It is October 7th, 2024. It is 7:06 PM. My name is Moshe Fuchs, and I have my co-chairperson up there, Hazel, whose picture is right in the middle of the screen. And we are honored to have, that's the right name right, but I'm going to try today. Mamarito.
Marmarato.
Christine Mamorato, who is our wonderful elected representative here today. And she has done much for the community, and she's here tonight to listen about the Metro North Penn Station Access Project. Okay, so review conduct statement. Everybody can read. Just be good boys and be good girls, and we'll be very happy. Our chairwoman is here tonight too. Hello, chairwoman. How are you? Good to see you. Okay, and from the committee, I have committee people. Please,
Ryan Barthel.
committee person.
Debbie Qualic.
Committee person.
Francis Benitez.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, review of meeting minutes. We're gonna get better at this, and one of these days, we're actually gonna distribute it to you when, we'll try to give you this month for sure, and we'll try to do last month. Okay, so one of the most.
Rabbi, I'm sorry, the minutes were actually submitted, but since they were working on all of the full board minutes, they had to really concentrate on that. But they will be posted probably tomorrow.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, thank you. So that we're a little ahead of the game on that. Which brings us up to number 3. Our other honored guests today are people from the wonderful MTA and Metro North. And they are going to talk to us today about the Metro North Penn Station Access Project. So I'm just going to ask you one thing, one little thing. Please hold your questions till the end of the presentation. That's going to go for everybody here because we just want them to have their time and then they can answer all the questions you want. How much time do you think you need?
20 minutes?
What about 18 minutes?
Okay, okay. I'll speed through the upfront.
Okay, okay, you could have 20 minutes without a problem. So please, MTA Metro North, introduce yourselves, tell us what your job is, and then we'll go further into that.
My name's Joe O'Donnell. I'm the Director of Strategic Initiatives and Government Affairs for MTA Construction and Development. We are the agency within the MTA who is actually building this project, the Penn Station Access Project for Metro North Railroad. And I'm also joined by 2 of my colleagues from our outreach team, Tali and Eric.
Thanks for having us.
Good, Tali?
I'm Tali.
Needs everything.
That's Aaron. Public outreach.
So I am going
I
to,
finally see you guys in person.
you had it up on the desktop already?
Yeah, it's just go on the Chrome
It's a window.
and Chrome on the bottom.
Yeah, but I just look
Yeah,
at it.
yeah.
All right.
No better shortcut than me then.
So everybody can see the agenda, I think?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're going to go over a brief project overview. As I mentioned, I'll run through that quickly because it's more to level set for somebody who has not necessarily seen this presentation before. We've obviously given this presentation to this community board and the others along the project alignment. But just so that we are all speaking the same language and talking about the same things the same way, we'll go over that quickly. So what is the Penn Station Access Project? It is, as I mentioned, a Metro North Railroad project. It'll bring new service to and from Penn Station to the Bronx. It's going to create 4 new ADA accessible stations in the Bronx, reducing commute times to Midtown by upwards of 50 minutes each way, and creating a whole new regional transportation connectivity. The existing Park Avenue Viaduct and the 125th Street Station is the single point of failure into and out of Manhattan right now. So this is going to add a layer of redundancy and a secondary transportation option for the folks coming not only from the Bronx, but from points north into Manhattan and vice versa. Along with the 4 new stations and the tracks and the elements associated with it, we're going to be upgrading all of the infrastructure here. So we're going to be doing 19 miles of new track, 4 new interlockings, and I'll talk a little bit about interlockings in a minute and the criticality of interlockings and why they're important to this project and to trains in general. 1 new or reconfigured interlocking, 5 new substations because we need to create more power in order to run more trains, 2 upgraded substations, 4 bridge rehabilitations because these bridges are going to be accommodating additional train traffic, as well as the fact as they are outside of their useful life. We're going to be upgrading all of the drainage infrastructure here. This is a very low-lying area. that is prone to flooding, so we're gonna be upgrading the drainage. And then we will be doing an expansion of the New Rochelle Yard, so that we can accommodate the new service once everything is all said and done. So some of the benefits of this project, as I mentioned, the increased travel times, it's going to improve access to underserved neighborhoods and get you to your destination faster. I mentioned 50 minutes each way. That's a whole heck of a lot of time that folks could be spending doing the things they love and like, a lot more than commuting to where they need to go. Economic vitality, this project is going to support the local and regional economy on a short-term and long-term basis. Not only is it going to introduce local economic activity by procuring goods and services inside the community while we're doing this project, but also, you know, all of the laborers and contractors who are coming into the community to build this project, frequenting area shops and stores. But then also it's going to make these 4 areas of the Bronx that much easier to get to. And I'll talk a little bit about it in a minute, about being able to attract world-class talent. It's literally and figuratively going to connect communities, not only making it easier to get from the Bronx to other areas, but in places like Morris Park, where you have the train tracks bisecting Hutch Metro Center, as well as the Einstein Montefiore Medical Campus. You'll now be able to traverse the train tracks vis-a-vis our overhead passage without having to go all the way around. This is going to introduce sustainable infrastructure, encouraging folks to get out of their vehicles and into mass transit, which will improve air quality and reduce congestion. I mentioned the reverse commuting. Not only is it going to help folks get into Manhattan's West Side Central Business District, but it'll get folks from Manhattan and points south into the Bronx and points north. One of the beauties of this project is it optimizes the existing infrastructure. We are doing all of this work with the exception of some of our vertical circulation elements and some of our power attributes inside the existing Amtrak right-of-way. So we're taking what presently exists as a 2-track railroad and converting it to a 4-track railroad, which is more cost-effective as well as less impactful on the surrounding community. It's going to not only expand the local transportation connectivity for Metro North, but regional transportation connectivity too for our partners at Amtrak. And I mentioned the enhanced network reliability as a result of that secondary means of getting into and out of Manhattan. I mentioned our partners over at Amtrak. We are reliant upon them as the owners and operators of this right-of-way for all of our access as well as oversight. But we're also going to be doing a host of work for them to improve their system while we're here. We're going to be improving their on-time performance, as I mentioned, by bringing their infrastructure up to a state of good repair, including their catenary systems, which are those overhead power lines that you see here. And 100-plus-year-old bridge structures that are outside of their useful life. So they're, rather than have us here doing all this work along the alignment and then have them have to come back in 5, 10, or 15 years to improve these bridge structures, we're going to do that now at the same time. I mentioned we're going to be doing electrical upgrades. We'll also be improving signal system and installing a state-of-the-art communication system. And then there's that stormwater management system and the addition of new drainage, which is not only going to benefit Metro North, but also Amtrak. These next 2 slides show renderings of stations in this particular area that you all would be most concerned with or interested in. As I mentioned, there are 4 stations, but the 2 in this district are the Parkchester Van Ness station. So if you see on the left-hand side of the screen, the main entrance, or the front entrance, if you will, the front door, will be on East Tremont Avenue. There'll be a secondary entrance on the Unionport Road Bridge. We don't have any traffic or passengers going across the tracks here because that would empty folks off into the Con Edison yard, and we don't want to do that. And frankly, Con Edison doesn't want the passengers over there either. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see a conceptual rendering of what the station will look like. I do say conceptual because there may be slight variations to this, but if I were to show you some of our other projects and what the before and afters look like, it's pretty close. You know, the blue may be slightly different. He is, blonde, but this is a pretty close facsimile because they go off of our design guidelines to create these renderings. Also in this district is the Morris Park Station. So the main entrance for the Morris Park Station will be on Bassett Avenue. Actually, they're both on Bassett Avenue, what we call Bassett Avenue Private and Bassett Avenue Public. So there will be one adjacent to the Marriott on Bassett Avenue Private. And then you'll be able to go up and over the tracks. It'll be a center platform, so you'll be able to access both the southbound and northbound trains from either side of the tracks, whether you're coming from Bassett Avenue Public, which is on the Montefiore side, or Bassett Avenue Private, which is on the Marriott and the Metro Center side. So where are we today? Talk a little bit about the progress. And I've got some more photos here. As I mentioned, we're going to be upgrading the 100-plus-year-old aging infrastructure while we're here. A lot of this requires span-by-span approach because we're doing this work above the roadway. As you can see here on the right-hand side, this Pelham Lane Bridge, what we need to convert traffic to one side of the road or the other while we're working under it, because we need to be able to do this work so that trains can continue to traverse it safely while we're doing this work, but also we can't have vehicular and pedestrian traffic going under here while we're taking steel and concrete down. It's a safety hazard. The Bronxdale Avenue Bridge is getting all new center piers. The main girders for tracks 2 and 4 are already complete, and there will be intermittent lane closures. Certainly the community board and probably a lot of you all are already on our distribution list for any of these lane closures. If not, then there is a way to make sure that you're getting this information. You're able to tailor the amount of information that you get based on either the station area you want or the entire project if you like. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We're also going to be working on that overhead catenary structure. Again, that's the power system. If you see here, these are the cables and the trusses that carry the power to the trains as they go along the Hellgate line here. So at Morris Park, we have 30% of the caissons in. And those are the footings that hold the supports here for the wires. At Parkchester and Van Nest, we have 100% of the caissons in zone 1 and 11% in zone 4. 93% of the columns are in, 57% of the portals are in. Similarly, 51% of the caissons in at Hunts Point and 100% of the caissons in columns 97% and 87% with the portals at the Leggett interlocking. Talk a little bit about the Leggett interlocking in a minute and the criticality of that. But suffice it to say that interlockings are what help us switch trains from one track to another. I mentioned the substations and the need to not only increase the power capacity, but in some instances bring in new power sources to accommodate the new lines and to be able to run more trains more frequently along the line. So we're increasing that capacity to meet that additional demand from the new service. Site preparations and foundations are already underway at the Van Nest AC substation. That's alternating current AC and DC, DC being direct current. At Co-op City, 94% of the caissons there are complete. And then HG is the Hellgate. There we have foundation slabs complete and the drainage structure is approximately 17% complete. Oops, too fast. In the station areas, and that's sort of, the real marquee elements of this station, no pun intended. Folks don't really see a lot of what's going on behind the scenes. But when the stations start to take shape is when you'll start to really realize that this is happening. So foundation work is commenced in all 4 of the stations. The concrete's been poured for the boiler room and the west entrance mini piles are 50% complete at Co-op City. At Morris Park, we have 69% of the north entrance mini piles in, and the north entrance rebar and concrete foundations are in progress. In the lower left-hand side of the screen there, you can see work going on at the Parkchester Van Nest site. The main entrance micro piles are 79% complete here. And then over at Hunts Point, the north and south entrance rebar and concrete foundations are in progress. So I mentioned Leggett, and I've been mentioning interlockings a couple of times because, as I say, interlockings are critical for trains to switch from one track to another. Unlike cars or tractor trailer trucks, trains cannot just turn on a dime. They need to physically be moved off from one track to another. Without being able to move these trains from one track to another, we would have immeasurable impacts to Amtrak's existing service while we're trying to build this project. And we would have inefficient wrench time, if you will, on the tracks up and downstream from where these interlockings are, because our folks would not be able to do the work safely for any extended period of time without the fear of a train bearing down on them. So these interlockings, and especially legged interlocking, which is the southernmost interlocking, are critical to doing this work effectively and efficiently and safely, so that we can move trains off the track and have extended periods of time to get the work that we need done and not impact, or at least minimally impact, Amtrak service. So at Leggett, we're 100% complete with the drainage outlet pipe, 87% complete with the drainage structure. We've installed new ties, tracks, and the components for the interlocking on tracks 1 and 2. And then we are still working on the signal, communications, testing, and commissioning. The objective here is to get this Leggett interlocking commissioned and operational by the end of this year, so that we can start in next year in 2025, utilizing it and again, being able to work more safely and efficiently. What's coming up in the area? So we're going to continue with those pillars, if you will, the bridges, the power sub systems, the station areas, and then Leggett interlocking. So on the bridges, we're going to continue at Bronxdale Avenue. We're going to install structural steel and deck plates for tracks 2 and 4. Eastchester Road Bridge, phase 2 will commence later in 2025. We've completed phase 1 work already. Pelham Lane Bridge, we're going to continue with the demolition and lead abatement, continue with the signal and conduit installation, and new steel installation will start in Q4 of 2025. Bronx River Bridge, rather. We're going to pour the concrete for the new center pier, and these are piers. Here, if you see these long walls or abutments, if you will, and install the framework and rebar for the east abutment. Upcoming work on the power system is going to continue in all 4 station areas with caisson installation, column installation, portal installation. And then we'll continue with the drainage at the substation. And the station areas, again, those marquee elements, we're going to continue to form the rebar and pour the concrete for the south entrance foundation. The rebar are these steel cages that go inside the concrete and give it more strength. At Parkchester Van Ness, we're going to complete the micropile installation for the main entrance and do the forms for the rebar and pour the concrete for the main entrance. Morris Park, we're going to continue with the retaining wall installation and then progress the south entrance utility work. Co-op City, we're going to continue with the rebar and concrete. And then with that Leggett interlocking, as I mentioned, we're going to look to complete that this year, and then get everything commissioned. And by commissioned, that means testing and making sure that it's operational and performing as it's intended by the end of Q4 2024. And then just a little bit about our community engagement. Along with meeting with Community Board 11, we continue to meet with all the community boards in this area, 2, 9, and 10. We did an environmental assessment, a public art procurement. We've done a jobs information event for this project in Morris Park. We have formed the Bronx Westchester Community Council, which I was talking a little bit about before we got on the call or on the Zoom or the WebEx, whatever the format is here. And then we do a lot with our local communities, right? We do programming within the schools to be able to incorporate the STEM curriculum that they are utilizing inside the classroom to practically apply it to work that's going on right in these kids' backyards. You know, this is a generational project, not only for the MTA, but for the Bronx and for some of these kids. And to have this work going on right in their own backyards, we can bring that work into the classroom and work with them and their teachers on how to practically apply that work that's going on outside their windows. These are just some more examples of us out in the community. Here's an example of the STEM event that you see in the lower right-hand corner. This was with Co-op City that we were meeting with, and Section 5. And then I mentioned the whole host of ways that you can get a hold of us. There is a dedicated project hotline. It is a hotline, so it is staffed 24/7 with an operator to take incoming calls and messages. I would not use this line if there's an emergency. I would recommend that you call 911. And then if there is something project related, feel free to use this, or you could email us at psaoutreach@mtacd.org. I mentioned signing up for newsletters and updates. You can go to the project webpage. MTA info /project/Penn Station access. And there you will find a way to sign up. As I said, if you just want to know about Morris Park, you just want to know about Van Nest, Parkchester, Van Nest, Hunts Point, or Co-op City, you can sign up for your specific station area, or you can sign up for multiple or all four. And we are happy to keep you as informed as humanly possible on this project. And with that, Rabbi,
That was amazing. I give you a blessing. Okay, we're going to go in order of priorities in my mind. We're going to go first to the council member. Council member Christie. I'm not going to say that. That'll be embarrassing. Council member Christie, who I have to first say, I announced at the board meeting, has contributed some millions types of dollars for a parking lot for Morris Park. But now I'm going to let Councilmember Christie take over. Questions, comments, whatever you want to do.
No, I'm looking forward to the access that we're gonna have to Penn Station. I think it's huge. Again, like I always say, it's one of the reasons why I bought my house in the area that I did, because I felt like we needed the access to not only Manhattan, but to New Haven, because at the time I was working up in Greenwich, and it would also open up the train line up that way. Now, as far as the parking is concerned, well, we did secure $2 million from the city in order to have a parking structure in or around the station. They have not come up with exact location. It's just kind of in the process right now. And I know $2 million is not a lot of money, but eventually I can always put some of my capital towards it as well throughout the years. I think their focus was basically to put $2 million towards the parking structure, whether it would be a park and ride or a parking lot, and then maybe partner up with an outside company in order to have them run the facility.
Yeah. No, it sounds great. And we've talked about this before, and then we've talked about it with with city council
Yes.
and DCP. You know, we are happy to have a seat at the table. We're happy to continue this dialogue. There is not, as you know, money in our project budget for this, but it does not preclude it.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we're happy to continue that dialogue.
So, I mean, we have a start of a budget,
yep.
so that's kind of a great thing, because you know.
No, it's
we've done it
fantastic.
Times, and I always said I need parking.
Yep.
Close to the station.
Yep.
Anything else, Councilman?
No, that's it.
Okay, let's go to chairwoman.
Nothing right now.
I love people. That's great. Let's go to my committee people. Let's go to Debbie first.
My question is very, very minute. What is the mini piles and the micro piles?
They're basically the, if you see a light pole, those concrete footings that the pole sits on. So similar to the light pole, the catenary systems, or the structures that the ultimate, so you see what these are? The piles are the concrete anchor that holds this here so that it doesn't get blown away or knocked over a storm. So essentially that's what it is. Micro and mini are just the same thing, but one's larger than the other.
Mr. Ryan. Thank you, Dana.
What kind of frequency should we expect out of this route?
I don't know, we don't have that in this presentation, but I want to say it's an extra 4 an hour initially.
Yes, that sounds right for me.
Yeah, initially. So
It's definitely on the website. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
we do have it. I believe it's an extra 4 per hour. And initially what will happen is the trains will originate and you'll have to switch at New Rochelle to start. So if you're coming from the points north, you would get off at New Rochelle, switch to a train going into Penn Station. Or if you're coming from Penn Station, you would go out to New Rochelle. And if you want to go beyond New Rochelle, then you would switch to a train going north. And that's again, just for the start of service. As they understand demand better, based on ridership frequency, they'll tweak that. And similar, if you're familiar with the Long Island Railroad coming into Metro North, I live on Long Island, and at first there was only trains like every couple,
Right.
20 minutes or so, similar to this. And then what they did was they tweaked that about a month or two in based on ridership volumes and needs.
Yeah.
So similar here, it'll start with more of a shuttle service at first till they understand need and frequency.
Okay. Another thing, I don't know how much this isn't directly related to the project, but talking about access, our bus service to and from that station area, there are a lot of buses, but they're infrequent and frequently cut service. Do you have any information about how like the Hudson Rail Link works or?
Good, Ryan. That's it. How come Riverdale gets a
A dedicated shuttle.
Why can't the council member?
That question's, that question.
You can do anything.
So obviously, we just completed, when I say we, my brothers and sisters at New York City Transit just recently completed the Bronx Bus Network redesign. But as this service gets up and running, and again, similar to the train service, as we understand better the utilization patterns of folks, that service will be tweaked. The bus service will be tweaked to accommodate the needs. One of the things we do get a lot of questions, especially in Co-op City, which is, I know is not germane to this conversation so much, but there is, because of the density of population there, and at Parkchester too, the station's gonna be right outside Parkchester houses. That bus service will be tweaked based on the utilization patterns. They're gonna keep an eye. We work very closely with our brothers and sisters at buses, so to say that.
I guess my concern is more that people in this neighborhood, they're used to not having very good bus service.
Right.
And most people, especially in the Morris Park neighborhood, have cars and are used to using that to get around. So they're not gonna go to a bus. They're gonna have someone take them and drop them off at the station until we get some sort of place to
Yep.
park. So the bus service, I don't think is gonna see the uptick in utilization that would prompt more bus service that would make people more inclined, more reliable and more frequent bus service that would make people more inclined to use it. So it feels like a little bit of a vicious cycle.
And to your point though about,
If they just did the Hudson Link type of service from jump, that would
Yeah.
show more usage.
I'll definitely talk to our bus folks about that, but to your point too about picking up and dropping off, all of these stations will have, and I know we've been trying to come up with a new name for this, but right now it's been labeled the
Kiss
Kiss
and
and Ride, exactly, yeah.
Park and
Where-
drop off
yeah,
here.
so it's gonna be a passenger pickup and drop off area, which will be dedicated area. But we gotta come up with a better name to Kiss and Ride.
Pickup, drop off.
Okay, Debbie, time me. Don't give me any more than 10 minutes. Okay. I'm gonna try. First of all, you've been more informative than anybody came from the MDA from day one. We had people here that really did not give us this type of advice. I applaud you and your associates, really do.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's do it as case now. I want to go to the new stop, Morris Park.
Yep.
Could you tell me where that train is going to start? And could you assure me that when I get there, I'm an old man, that I'm gonna get a seat? That train is not gonna be packed?
Right.
I'm gonna make big bucks to stand on the train.
So,
Now, can I just, look at that map over there. And your new stop, sorry, folks, is really gonna be mostly for these people right around here. These people up here, in my country over here, are gonna go either to Fordham or they're gonna go to Botanical Gardens. You're not gonna get anybody from here, because they would have to be local, or sugar, crazy, to want to go back to Morris Park, as Ryan said, because it would take them a week to get there, most probably, between the buses. So given that, my question now is, why, if I'm a resident, or take the council member who's a resident in the neighborhood there, how is she gonna be, she's putting money for the parking. Ryan said the buses are terrible. Not everybody drives a bike or a scooter or anything like that. What's gonna encourage people to go to that stop? And do you have a place for this parking? The council member's so nice, you gave me $2 million, you gotta put the parking. And I'm gonna give you all my questions, Kevin, okay? Because I'm on a time limit. Okay, so now, and once where it starts, what's the order of stops in the Bronx? That's my second question. Next, pricing. Is it gonna be cheaper for me to go to Fordham, get one stop into Grand Central, or schlep around here, maybe not get a seat, and go to 4 other stops and take much longer to get into Grand Central?
You're not going to Grand Central, you're going to Penn.
Okay, excuse me. Going back the other way, people that are going north to Connecticut. Same question. That train's gonna come out of Grand Central. Again, you might be standing there. Oh, where am I gonna sit? There's no seats left there. Next question is going to be security. This is the Bronx. I don't make a difference to the Bronx. It could be Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, whatever it is. What's gonna be security at that station? Let's say if somebody comes in, and a man, a woman, doesn't make a difference. 10, 11 o'clock at night. And especially if we put the parking in there, somebody gonna be afraid to go even to the car. And I don't know if there's an answer to this, once this parking gets established, when you go to Botanical, you pay for parking, I don't know how much it is, will that be the same system over here? And again, that's the end of my question. Debbie, how much is it?
That was 3 minutes.
3, wow, I have 7 more minutes after.
You yield your 7 minutes?
No, I want to help.
So the parking question first, only because it's the hardest, so therefore it makes it the easiest. We're not gonna own or operate the parking right now. It'll be a third-party owner operator, so I don't know what they're gonna
Where are
establish.
you gonna put it? Sounds from one presentation before, there's nowhere to put a parking. space.
Well, we don't have dedicated parking or an area for the parking inside our budget. That's what I said, but we are willing to work with folks on that discussion. So we have not identified a parking location. We'll be working with the city and the Department of City Planning and the city council on finding that, but we don't have that today.
Thank you. Next.
As far as the fair goes, speaking of prices, much like, there already is the city ticket. So Metro North has an existing discounted rate for going inside the city zones. These 4 stations will be inside the city zone. With regard to the service, I heard somebody else mention it. This service is going to go into Penn Station. So if you were going to the Fordham Road Station, you would not be able to go into Penn Station. You go into Metro North. These stations don't go into Grand Central, rather. So what would happen is you would get on a train and it's going to be after New Rochelle. So the trains are going to be empty at New Rochelle. Whoever gets on at New Rochelle is either going to be from the New Rochelle area or have transferred from a train from a point north going into the city. So they're going to start essentially empty at New Rochelle.
Stop one.
Right.
Stop.
And then stop 1 will be Co-op City,
Okay.
then Morris Park, then Parkchester, Van Ness, then Hunts Point, then
Okay.
into Penn.
So in other words, Morris Park has a good shot for getting seats.
Yeah. One would think, yes.
Both ways,
Yes.
even coming up from the city.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, coming up from the city, you're gonna be getting on an empty train, regardless of what 4 stop you're going to.
It's a free for all.
It's a free for all.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that means people that really still want to go to Grand Central are gonna have no choice. They're still gonna have to go to
Use
Fordham or Botanical
But,
Park.
yeah.
And that, so the reverse side of that is the people from Allerton, if they want to go to Penn, that's why we need some sort of Hudson link.
Right.
Or else those people, it's gonna take them a month to
Yeah,
get there.
no, it's a great point. I'll talk to our buses about that. Security was another question that you brought up. So all of our stations are going to have dedicated health points, CCTs, closed circuit TVs, fire and life safety, and, obviously brand new lighting. There is no dedicated police presence. There's no police hub there inside the station areas. These stations are unique in the sense that they're Metro North stations, but they're inside Amtrak's right of way. So it's Amtrak's property. It's not our property. It's not Metro MTA's property. As we get closer to revenue service, I've already connected Amtrak, MTA PD and NYPD. So there's going to be very lengthy conversations as to who's going to have ownership of patrol, who's going to have ownership of bodies. We don't have those answers now, but those conversations have already started. So as we get closer to revenue service, I'll have an answer for you as far as physical bodies. Am I going to see an MTA police officer, an NYPD officer? How frequently? We'll have those questions as we get closer, but we don't have the answers right now.
Saturday and Sunday service will resemble how much Saturday, Sunday service goes in across the
Yeah.
line, right?
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, a bit slower.
So after, I don't know, a month of this or 2 months of this, will you do a review and say
Absolutely.
trains are going too quick into the station or trains are going too slow?
So yeah, so it's some trains are overcrowded. We need to put more cars or more trains. That's all gonna be a constant evolution, especially the first 6 months.
Now, do you have, besides visiting all these community boards, do you have a layman's, for lack of a better word, a layman's board where you go to people from 2, 10, 11, and 12 together at the same time?
So we have what's called the Bronx Westchester Community Council, and that includes stakeholders from both the Bronx and Westchester, as the name would suggest. And that's anybody with a greater than 1-to-1 voice. So community boards, elected officials, agencies, folks who like Hutch Metro Center and Simone. So anybody who has a constituency or an audience where they can bring the word right from the horse's mouth back to their audience, as well as bring us their questions and concerns. So that group meets quarterly.
And is Jeremy, our executive director, part of that?
Yep.
Okay, that's excellent. Okay, that's all for my questions. Now, we want to go back and then we're going to go to the audience.
And one more, perhaps it's a pipe dream, but seeing this go straight from the Bronx into Manhattan and through so many miles of Queens. I would love to be able to get to Queens a little more effectively.
So we hear that a lot, and we also hear it very obviously frequently from our folks in Queens who have the benefit or the disadvantage of having the service go through there but don't get a station. Right now, there is not plans for a station in there, but similar to the parking, it does not preclude us from doing a station there in the future. There is already a density of service, albeit not Metro North service, through that area, both subway and LIRR. So it doesn't beg for another transit option other than to connect to Metro North. So that is something that could happen in the future. And again, this will not preclude that from happening. You may be familiar too, this is the Transportation Committee, so you all are a bit more transportation savvy than probably the layperson. But there is that IBX, the interborough service that the MTA is pursuing, vis-a-vis the governor right now, which would connect the Queens and Brooklyn, but not go all the way up into the Bronx. One of the problems is the Hellgate Bridge, which we are going to be bringing this service over into Queens and ultimately into Penn Station. There's only so much capacity on that bridge, to run trains at the same time. So that's the problem and what we need to figure out moving forward.
But I also remember attending one of the other meetings that was held at the Marriott.
Yep.
I remember hearing people there not necessarily wanting to go into Manhattan because, like you said, they got the LIR, but they want to either go to the Bronx or Westchester. They want to utilize it north.
Yep.
So
Yeah, this reverse commuting is it's almost a 50-50 proposition. We see almost a 50-50 split between folks, especially in Morris Park, where you have these very vibrant job centers in Einstein and Hutch Metro Center, folks coming, and it's only going to continue to grow. And Hunts Point obviously is also a very, is an economic hub. But folks coming from Point South, like Penn Station or New Jersey even, and coming this way, and beyond, Westchester, Connecticut. I know the council member mentioned Greenwich, but Stamford and New Haven. So definitely.
I've got two committee members. Any committee members have any questions? Sir,
Well,
don't
no,
force yourself.
I don't really have any questions. I just want to learn a little bit more. Does this go around Morris Park?
Yes.
Yes. One of the stops. Okay. Any other committee member that I forgot? No, not everybody. Okay. I'm okay. I'm very big on dismissing people once they have to go.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, you want to stay here, you can listen. But the council member is very busy. So I'm dismissing her and I'm dismissing everybody from the MTA. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. My fault. I dismissed too early. I
Was
always
the
do.
MTA able to mitigate the noise complaint, noise pollution concerns by Queens residents?
So there's two areas that we get a lot of questions about noise. It was in Queens, in the Astoria area, the Boulevard Gardens community, as well as here in the Bronx. Our environmental study, and we did if that's all online, where I said you can go to our website to sign up. So there's a very detailed environmental study there. The folks we've spoken to, not only the assembly member there, but also the Boulevard Gardens board, who we've met with on multiple occasions, they're very concerned with the existing train noise there now. And they have a zero tolerance for any additional noise. So we don't have trains there now. We won't have trains there for years. So if Amtrak was to address the existing train noise there would not be any problem in the future because we don't have trains there, and our trains are going to be much quieter because they're passenger trains and not freight and heavy trains. So the question really is for Amtrak now to address it now. If in the revenue service, once we start with our trains, if there's an increase in noise, and we have projected only a 3 decibel increase in noise, or 1 decibel increase in noise, my apologies. Anything under 3 decibels is almost imperceptible to the human ear. So we have labeled it as insignificant. Now, that doesn't mean it's not a nuisance noise to you or I if I live there, just because it doesn't raise to that level. So we'll evaluate that again once trains start running. But right now, there is, for that area of Queens, there is no planned mitigation there because we just don't see the need. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'll go audience now. It's my mistake. I went too fast.
Okay.
Can you say again what the capacity of the trains will be each ride and how long from Morris Park to Penn Station?
The number of passengers capacity wise? I don't know, you know that off the top here?
Well, that's on my head.
Like 100, 200?
No, it's more than that. They're usually in the neighborhood of 2,000, I think.
We were just asked.
In one
I was
ride?
looking at it the other day, the typical New Haven line trains are about 100 per train seat.
Right, but that's per
train.
par,
Per
not
car.
per eight,
So then
eight,
you'll-
call, yeah, so it's 8 times 4 is, yeah.
That's very good. And how, what's the distance? And then I have one extra question.
Do you have, you got it? We have an entire, we don't have it in this deck. We have it in,
Time savings? No, it's-
no, yeah, we have an entire deck, or entire slide with all the time savings each way. So, Eric's calling it up, but go with your other question.
The third question is, we spoke about safety earlier. The Fordham and Botanical Garden safety, have they had many issues like the subway system, or have they been relatively safe?
I'd have to double check numbers for you on that. I don't know whether it's up or down historically. I, off the top of my head, can't think of a sort of a major incident there recently,
Me
but I,
neither.
yeah,
Me
yeah,
in
but
the
I'll double
Allerton
check.
area, that's,
Yeah.
like Rabbi said, that's what we would take if we were gonna go into the city.
Yep.
And it's relatively safe, I have to say that.
Great.
The Botanical Gardens, when I'm there sometimes, the MTA police sit in a lot of it.
All right, sorry, so you were,
Capacity and speed from Morris Park to Penn Station.
so Morris Park to Penn Station today, it takes you 60 minutes using existing mass transit options. Fast forward to when this service is operational, it'll be 25 minutes, so 35 minutes savings.
By the time you get on the train.
60 minutes is generous, I think.
Yeah. Well, it took me over an hour and I drove up here from 2 Broadway from MTA headquarters, so it took me over an hour to get here in rush hour in the afternoon, so.
We're so, we're away on two.
As far as capacity.
Okay.
It's 110.
Per car, yeah, depending on the.
Very good, okay, thank you.
Good. Audience, next.
I have a few questions. One,
Who's good?
the schedule for the completion of this project.
Right.
What is it?
So out of the gate, it was the end of 2027. That number or that deadline was contingent upon long-term outages. I think I mentioned at the onset of the presentation. Amtrak owns the right-of-way, and in order to do the work efficiently, we need long-term outages from Amtrak. We negotiated a long-term outage in 2023. We negotiated a second long-term outage in 2024, which recently wrapped up. So we're presently in the process of evaluating those 2 long-term outages and the effectiveness of those long-term outages. So I'll have a better idea probably around the end of the year as far as whether we're still on schedule or whether that's going to move. But that's where things stand now.
And then the path of the bridge, is that only gonna be stairs or will it be a like ramp or some other?
So all of the stations will be ADA accessible. They'll have vertical circulation elements, either elevators or stairs. The stairs will be ADA. At the bridge, it will be stairs. The elevator will be at the main entrance.
Okay, so I mean, to the, let's say you wanted to bike to the train, right? To get
Yep.
your bike there, you'd have to take an elevator over to the platform.
From Morris Park or Parkchester?
Morris Park.
Yeah, you'd be able to take an elevator up and walk it over across the pedestrian passageway.
And then for the drop off, I know this is like a block away from Eastchester, but as everyone probably knows, that Eastchester Road has a big issue with double parking and triple parking, depending on where they are. Is there any, like how much space is being allotted to the drop off?
Yeah.
Right, is that, you know, what?
Good question, like what the square footage is, like the
Right,
length.
will there be enough, or will there end up being one of those like school line backups of just 30 cars?
Right.
They not-
We know what the size of the,
I think they're still finalizing.
yeah, I don't know if we have a final number on the length, like how much frontage is gonna be dedicated. I just know that it is, but I'll get that.
Okay. It's all yours.
So since there have been a lot of questions about parking, I thought it was important to share that the MTA had already studied as part of the environmental assessment, the expected modal split, how commuters will get to the station. And for park and ride, that was estimated to be during the AM peak hour, 1% of commuters. The hard number was 5. So for 5 folks are expected in the AM peak hour to park and ride. Now, this could change if you do provide parking. That might increase that
Right.
part of the modal split. But when folks, this is for the Morris Park Station, when 47% of folks are expected to arrive by bus, maybe we should be focusing on improving
Efficient
the
bus
bus
network, yeah.
connection instead. And since the drop-offs were mentioned, the modal split of drop-off and pickup at the Morris Park Station during the AM peak hours is expected to be 2% of commuters. So 15 in this case. So that might inform how big
Yeah.
this pickup area needs to
Well,
be.
it's also a great point. I didn't bring it up. But we get it both sides because there are some folks who are vehemently against parking because they say if we build the parking or if we were going to build the parking, you're encouraging folks to drive into the community from outside the community and it's going to increase it. So we get it from both sides. I understand both sides, especially if you live here and you don't want the increased traffic. But, some sort of parking solution, I mean, just in Bronx in general, obviously, as the council member will tell you, is critical. So.
I know Co-op City is not in this community board, but I know Co-op City is big time worried with it because Co-op City has 8 garages.
Yep.
And if you have a pass to garage 1, you're allowed to go into garage number 8. And 7 and 8 are in section 5 where the transition is gonna be. And a lot of people there are very worried that they're now not gonna, people who live in section 5 and have a parking.
Someone who
Pass.
normally parks in 1 is going to come to 8 or whatever's closer to the
Right.
station kind of thing.
So
Interesting.
it is a big issue and I know they very much want like a Hudson Link
Yep.
too, something that's dedicated just for the,
Yeah.
just for the Metro.
Yeah, the section 5 folks, we speak to them a lot about the buses and the busing options there and improved busing options as well as the parking, because you have all that parking over on the mall side. So there's been discussion as well about a possible shuttle to get folks from the mall
You're
side of
speaking
the
of
park.
Riley's office.
Yeah, exactly.
My daughter.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing about the whole park and ride that you had mentioned, Michael. You say your numbers, I don't know where they came up with these numbers. I understand it was an environmental study. But we have to look at this as a whole district. We have people who live in Throgs Neck who will take their car. And I've spoken with plenty of residents from over there. They will drive to the Morris Park Station so they don't have to take the express bus down anymore and it'll reduce congestion on the Bruckner and stuff like that. So you have to look at it as like a whole big picture. It's not just the people in Morris Park that don't want to walk 2 blocks. It's going to be, our whole city council district.
It's in the Penn Station Access Environmental Assessment.
Right. Okay.
Okay, we have questions here from the audience. Question 1, can the MTA confirm that they are only responsible for the property within the fence in the 100 feet of the track property, not any outside real estate, i.e. building, parking, or street layout? On the Eastchester Road Bridge, which you say will complete in Q4 of 2025, will the barricades surrounding the columns limiting the number of on-travel lanes still be placed until that time? I believe that small piece is one of the reasons an improved proposed infrastructure pedestrian safety enhancement and traffic calming known as the Eastchester Road Bicycle Network is currently on hold.
So those 2 things. You should have taken the train or something. So those 2 questions, I'm not entirely sure. So we're going to be responsible for obviously our station and the community space in and around the station. So there's going to be an entrance footprint, if you will. So we will be responsible for that. As far as the building, parking, and street layout, the first mile, last mile is really Department of City Planning's purview and DOT's purview. We don't have any parking, as I mentioned, as part of this project. The building, if you're talking about the building structure itself, the station house and the overpass, yes, we would have a responsibility for that. And as far as the Eastchester Road Bridge goes, as you know, if you live or work in that area or traverse that area is constantly in flux as we work on different segments of the bridge between the pedestrian, the protected pedestrian passageway, as well as the shifting of the traffic lanes. So as we put that on pause until Q4 of 2025, there will be some semblance of a return to normalcy there for a little while. The exact configuration I don't have in front of me right now. I don't know if you guys know.
There should, yeah, it should be fully open now, but there might still be barricades.
Right.
That would be questions about. We can definitely ask
when those events.
Right.
But
Okay,
then we'll start back up again.
okay, I just got a few and then we'll take anybody, I think.
Yeah, 7 more minutes. that you-
I know that, I have 7. Okay, some of these are rhetorical. Will there be any sort of newsstand or coffee stand on the station? Rhetorical.
There isn't a physical presence like a coffee shop.
No, not coffee shop,
Right.
I'm saying, will there be a newspaper stand, anything? Will there be a bathroom on any of these things?
I believe there are. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so that's great, that's great, okay. Next question is going to be, does congestion pricing affect this program at all?
This project is already fully funded and committed, so no, anticipation is no.
Okay, last question, who pays for TransLink in Riverdale? Who pays for it? I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know if the council member knows, it's a joint effort there,
TransLink, who pays for it?
in Riverdale.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's our
Could be the
service.
customers paying.
Yeah, I don't think it's the customers. I think it's a grant or subsidy of some sort, but I'll double check. I've asked this question before and I got an answer. I just gotta get it for you again, but I will get that
I
answer.
think if you got the TransLink here, you'll get more blessings from us, really. I think that's the answer to the park, not the get rid of the parking lot, but that'd be the answer from people even Rock's Neck getting
Yeah.
parking. Any final questions before I do the final dismissal? Thank you so much.
Thank you all for having us, and if anybody wants my card, I'm happy. If you do want to reach out to me directly with
Yeah, we
anything. I'm
take
happy.
cards. Yeah, we like
Well, no, that's just of the MTA stuff.
Okay, excellent.
We're not done.
Okay, awesome.
I haven't heard any coordination
Thank you.
issues with that. but-
Okay, we're gonna go to the next item once we,
My kids are sick, so. All right, everybody have a good day.
Thank you.
thank you.
That's not the red.
Thank you. Thank you. Broadway. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Okay, we are now on item number 4. And I will try to say this the right way. Let me just read it first. Letter to the City Department of Transportation Commissioner expressing support for the addition of a protected two-way bike lane on Pelham Parkway North from Stillwell to Bronxwood. Now, I'll start by saying there was a motion about this at the last meeting, approved, but then it was withdrawn. So that means this is open season now to discuss this. And let's start off with my committee members, if they have anything to say about, oh, it's right over there. Good, that's good.
Let me share it.
Yeah. Let's start now. Let's try to be civil on this and let's understand what's up there. And then whatever happens from here is going to have to go to the board anyway. So committee members, do you have anything to say? It's all yours.
As somebody that drives there, whether it's my car or a school bus,
Okay.
and somebody with a CDL license, I'm opposed of this because first and foremost, basically the CDL aspect, because that is, if a truck has to come through, that's where the trucks go. The trucks cannot go on the main Pelham Parkway. They have to go on that service road.
Okay.
So to put a protected bike lane, you would then have to take away everybody's parking away.
Here.
So,
Yeah, so number one
yeah.
is, this would have to say Pelham Parkway North Service Road.
right,
That's number one, Debbie, which I just wrote here. And do you have anything to add to what you said?
and as I said, as a school bus driver, I may be driving a small bus, but I can also drive a large bus. Large buses have a large tail swing. Again, if they're turning a corner or such, it would be hitting any protected bike lane over there too. It also be making it very cramped for any bus, especially a large bus, to be going through there. And then there's also an FDNY issue. Because I know there was a big issue on the other side with them getting that sidewalk to nowhere and having an issue of the FDNY trucks making the turns at the corner. So if you, again, if you're putting a protected bike lane, it's gonna also cause an issue for the FDNY.
Thank you.
Yes, right.
Can I respond or? do we
You
wanna-
respond,
Yeah,
whatever you want to do.
so the reason that this, it's space delimited for a reason and between Stillwell and Bronxwood, because you effectively are, Stillwell to Williamsbridge, you already have no parking. It's a double width lane, so there is space for parking on the south side of the street there, but it's labeled no parking. I don't know what the reason for that is. There's not a whole lot of parking activity on the north side because everyone there has driveways. I assume that, I don't know what the reason for the no parking is, but it is already wide enough to have the same parking and travel lane that you have, say, from Bronxwood to White Plains Road.
If you're talking just painted green, that's one thing. But if you're talking where you have Jersey barrier type of stuff, then that's a whole different ball of wax.
I see that. So, my thought, and this is just to show everybody else, is Jersey barriers might be too much, but something like the flexi post like they did on Masholu, and I'll pull that up so that you can see.
I've driven much.
Yeah, no, I know that you're familiar with it, but this is just this is for everybody else, those who aren't familiar. Where are we?
That's Colon Parkway?
No, that's much.
Masholu. So if you do it like this, where you paint the line and then you put in a flexi post, you don't have any worry about anyone who's.
Well, they took a whole lane just for sporadic flexi posts.
So all I'm saying is when you're talking about it doesn't have to be a Jersey barrier, right? That is what they did on Masholu. This is a lane that exists on Pelham Parkway that is not being used.
Well, the reason why there was no parking is because trucks need to get through. That's the main reason why there's only one-sided parking.
But the parking does exist on that side of the road in between
Further down,
Bronxwood and Pelham.
when the
White
road,
Plains, I mean.
when the road widens up.
No, it's the same width.
I specifically drove down Pelham Parkway.
That's Colon Parkway.
Yes.
I
I'll walk by that.
specifically drove down Pelham Parkway today with the bus. And
Okay.
I know it would, if I was driving a full-size bus, I know it would be very cramped. If I was going through in a truck, it would be even worse.
I mean, it is still a parkway. I don't believe that they're
no,
allowed
no.
to do door to thigh.
No, they are.
It's still, they are?
Yes, if you
It's
go,
still
if
a
you,
parkway.
yes, no, if you go before, if you want to go back to before the traffic light, the Stillwell traffic light, that's exactly where it's telling the trucks to go. Onto the, yes.
But
Just for
so-
everybody's information.
Yeah.
No parking anytime.
On
right side of
on
the
the park side,
Something I battled for, it's probably 25 years ago. They used to barbecue there on Sundays. So we got this no parking anytime. I think it went from
Amen.
Eastchester Road
and
all
then
the
go
way to
onto the main.
Williamsburg Road. Used in the olden days, and Jeremy could look it up. In the olden days, they could park on both sides. So we got that no parking anytime
Yes.
because of the Sunday barbecue.
That's awesome, the barbecue.
And,
I-
and I mean. Can I-
Yes, you could speak. Why not? It's freedom of speech.
Hi,
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Nice to
Hope
speak.
everybody's good. Has anybody also taken into consideration the traffic that is generated in Pelham Parkway and
All
all the
commercial
streets,
traffic.
all the streets that bleed into Pelham Parkway, because of the Icon School, is 3 schools there. And sometimes between 7 o'clock to like 8:30, the amount of traffic there is unbelievable.
Well, this is not on the ICANN
Yeah,
stuff.
but some people, yeah, but people takes, a lot of parents, because I used to have my kids in Icon, will actually take that road to make the turn and be able to leave their kids in front of the school. And there has been instances, and I remember one, I don't know if some of us remember, when a cop got shot and the traffic, it was around the same time of dismissal. And the traffic that was crossing Pelham Parkway, it was what caused this police officer to lose his life because there was no way to get him through to Jacoby. They had to cut through the park itself to get him through Jacoby. So, I mean, a bike lane there on a road that is already compromised with traffic, I think it's just not a good idea.
Thank you. Okay, I should
so
have stayed with the board, but okay, I'll go back to.
Well,
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry, it's my fault.
To that specifically, actually, a bike lane is really helpful for emergency response, because in theory, the cars are not in the bike lane. It's a lot easier for a cyclist to get out of the way. So a bike lane with FlexiPost provides a lot greater ability for an emergency response vehicle to get to where they need to go. Traffic can't block them. And, I see it all the time on the main roadway where there's an ambulance sitting there with their siren going, and there are 3 or 4 lanes of traffic who can't move.
But even with a bike lane with FlexiPosts, the amount of space that takes up is the width of a car. We don't have cars on that side for a reason, because it would cause the things to be too narrow, especially for commercial vehicles.
Well, we just heard what the reason was. And also, so I grew up in Cincinnati. The main bridge going from Kentucky to Ohio is 4 lanes, 44 feet wide. 11-foot wide turn
Yeah.
lane, and there are trucks that go on it. I've driven in between 2 trucks
That's
on that.
Cincinnati,
I'm-
this.
No, I'm saying, you're talking about the space constraints. The space constraint does not exist for a competent truck driver. I understand that it might be cramped, but again, the parking does exist further down the road as well.
Okay, let's go to the committee member there.
So,
Then
so,
we're gonna take it over to anybody else from you.
so I wanna know, so like in this instance, having, like in this specific thing, is it a good thing? Is it a good thing to have more cars, or is it more beneficial to have less cars? To have less traffic, less people, so that way that,
That's a non-issue on this. If it's your preference to ride a bike, that's one thing. If it's your preference to drive a car, it's your thing. I personally own a bicycle, but I'm choosing to drive my car.
okay,
But I'm also speaking as somebody who drives for a living in a larger size vehicle than my car. I'm also speaking as somebody that could be driving a truck through there. I'm also speaking as somebody that's driven, have been on other trucks, and I know how tight that road is, even in a truck. Whether it's a U-Haul truck or a tractor trailer truck. I know how tight that road could be. And then if you're taking the width of a car away from that driving ability.
Let's hear from the community now. Let's somebody from the board has something different to say. Go ahead.
Can I give you a letter for the record to read? Very short,
You want me to read it?
please, for the record.
So I know how to read.
Okay, Dear Bronx Community Board 11, it makes no sense to have a parallel bike lane on the North Service Road less than 70 feet away from the pedestrian bike path on the Greenway. However, this proposed bike lane on the North Service Road, Pelham Parkway, North Service Road, could be an alternative instead of widening the pathway 2 feet wider, resulting in over 10,000 square feet of greenery loss and loss of trees and tree root damage. So if New York City Park compromises and repaves the pathway without widening it as proposed, then a bike lane on the service would make sense. But a widened pathway and a parallel bike path less than 70 feet apart does not make sense and is not supported. Thank you. Allerton Avenue Homeowners and Tenants Association. That's the second one? Okay, so who's this thank you from? Friends of Pelham Parkway?
Yeah, but the 3 groups, Park.
Three groups,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I'm reading, the 3
Yes,
groups.
but Alpha Home is the other group.
Yeah. Alton Area Homeowners and Tenant Association, Friends of Pelham Parkway, Pelham Parkway Houses Tenant Association. Oh, Chris Kirka, do you have the tape on, Chris? Are you been there?
And those 3,
Like Kirby said, it wasn't to see.
Not taping it?
and those, I'll send you a copy, that's your copy.
Okay, now,
So those 3 associations are covered from Stillwell all the way to Queens Road. on the north side of Pelham Parkway, which is the proposed bike lane on the service road.
Is there?
It is recording. Okay.
Okay, so
Go ahead. Now you
Yeah.
could, now you could
thank you
speak.
for the record, feedback. So my issue is that the same board member that proposed this bike lane on Service Road, when we had several groups and people from Pelham Parkway, residents, longtime residents, we went in front of the board and said, widening the pathway, the greenway, the bike lane on the greenway will create more incidents because it will give more room for mopeds, e-scooters, motorcycles, and any two-wheel that are going over the 20-mile-per-hour speed parks limits. But the same board said making it wider will make it safer. Now he's saying making the circle less wider will make it safer. But I'm not gonna go back and forth. The issue is that it really makes no sense if parks is going forth like they are to widen the pathway over 2 feet wide to make room. And bikes can ride on any road that's because bikes can ride on any road that's 25 miles.
I got you.
And Pelham Parkway, both Service Road and Main Road are 25 miles per, they've been reduced from 30 miles per hour. So it doesn't prohibit any bike currently right now from riding on the Service Road. But as a compromise only, but to have 2 bike lanes 7 feet apart, which will address the same users, makes no sense, and the community's not supportive of it. And unfortunately, there's a cemetery meeting happening elsewhere, so those people couldn't join this meeting today.
Okay.
2 people aren't in attendance. And overall, because it makes no sense why you want a bike lane on the Service Road when you have a bike lane on the Greenway. And we never had issues with bikes on the Greenway. The issue we have is the lack of enforcement because motorcycles and mopeds and e-scooters going beyond 20 miles per hour, which are also not allowed on bike lanes, are refusing to ride on the road and are using sidewalks and pedestrian ways as speedways or shortcuts. So I'm asking this board to do something, use common sense.
Okay.
That's all,
Thank
common
you,
sense.
Roxanne. I got
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, now I gotta take 2 minutes from everybody. I should have done that before, but you got a timer there. Go ahead, 2 minutes.
You said you wanted to take.
Yeah.
Okay, so just a few points. One, with the service road having a bike lane, it sounds like there were parked cars there before. And like Kevin said up there, the DOT and other agencies probably have rules and laws about how big a lane can be for a truck and a bus to be on it. So obviously they would go by that before putting up Jersey barriers. About the bike lane being on the greenway and the path, I'm actually against it being just those flexi posts because that really doesn't protect the bicyclists. And the big reason that a lot of people use the greenway is because it's protected and they can use it like a Sunday bike ride or when commuting and not having to worry about a motorized vehicle coming in and hitting them. Like you said, bikes can be on the actual roadways, but it's not safe. It's very dangerous. And to be honest, people go like 35 to 40 miles on that road and they run the rails. So I wouldn't ever get safe on it.
So you have a bike, you said that he won't even use this.
Rabbi,
service
you
road,
know
so
some
why even
I know, I
have
understand.
The main road.
I'm just trying to do this first.
Service road.
the bike lane?
Okay,
Jersey barrier.
I got you. I got you. Okay, now we're gonna go to that board there. Where do I got hands? Oh, no, go ahead. I see a board. Hazel. Hazel.
Hi. I'm really, really sorry that I couldn't be there. I'm just not feeling good today. I
Okay,
was feeling good I was feeling good this morning. I don't know what happened. My staff got me sick. So after I kind of had agreed with this bike lane because I thought it was a really good idea, and I was just thinking that we could take like the bikes out of the path and just kind of put them on the street, and that would kind of eliminate bikes and mopeds and all those other things on the path. But then after I thought about it, I said, wait a minute, it's just going to Bronxwood. So what's going to happen when the bikes get to Bronxwood? Like, where are they going to go? And so I kind of agree with Roxanne. There's really no point in having 2 bike lanes when we kind of already have one. And if they improve the path in the park itself, in that path that goes in the park, then I think that would be a better solution. And I also think that we should just put more pressure on parks to disallow those mopeds and scooters to go on that path. That's what really we should be focusing on. Thank
I
you.
agree with that.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Hazel. Any more yellow hands up there?
There's a few.
Where are they?
No,
There's Chris, Kevin.
Chris,
Christine
Chris.
Slater, Miguel.
Okay, I see. Chris, let's go. You're on.
I'll let Mr. Diola and Ms. Slater first, since they are registered. I'll talk after them.
Right, but aren't they registered for a gallery? Oh, no, they're registered.
So, okay, we're gonna wait for gallery, for
I
them?
think, so. Isn't
Yeah.
that the way I'm supposed to do it?
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
supposed to do it on
okay.
gal-
Yes.
Yes.
okay. So,
Hand raised.
Yeah, okay, we'll do it at gallery. It's fine.
okay, so,
Gotta finish this up, Chris.
yes,
So,
as of recently, I've gotten phone calls about residents in the area while in the office. And most of them, they were, well, I should say all of them were against the bike lane over there, especially when with the Jersey barriers. You got to understand, same thing, I'm going to emphasize whatever Debbie said. That's designated for heavy vehicles passing through. Fire department, especially the big rigs, cannot turn around. In case of an emergency, I'm talking hurricane, trees falling down, all these kind of things. Blocking the the parkway, there's going to be the alternate side. Then also, if you put the Jersey barriers, we're going to consider wintertime. Wintertime, we're talking about snow plowing. The snow already it's plowed on that side, doesn't go on the residential side, because what's the point? Now, all of them, they were saying that how often bikers go around, and all of them agreed that if you see 5 bikers in 1 month, you're going to be a lucky one.
okay.
And because of the bikers, one of them even suggested why the bikers cannot share a lane with the bus, because how often a bus goes through and how often a biker goes through. So instead of creating something that tomorrow we're going to be regretting it, let them share that part of Pelham Parkway from whatever it is, White Plains all the way up to Stillwell. They can use the bus lane. A bus goes what, every 15 minutes? A biker goes every 5 hours? That's the whole point. You gotta take under consideration also the harsh time, the harsh weather here in New York. How often the bike is gonna go? Between what, April and October? And you're gonna create something that's gonna cause issues in the future? I should consider it about, you guys doing a public hearing and notified through TV and through papers and everything else, because believe me, this is not right. Not for 5 bikers.
Okay,
Thank you.
we hear you. Okay, so,
I could say as a bus driver in that lane, yeah, occasionally I've come across somebody on an e-bike, not even a human powered bike, an e-bike. And yes, I yield to them and stuff like that, but this shouldn't be a whole another problem.
okay.
Can I say something?
If you're
Sorry, yeah.
say,
The frequency of the BX12 Select Bus service in rush hour is every 5 minutes. I went through it on one of the hottest days in the summer, middle of July, 95 or 100 and whatever degrees, and I counted 16 cyclists out. There are fewer in February. I'm still out there in February though, and I'd like to not be run over. The problem with the bus lane on the main road bed at Pelham Parkway is the buses also don't go 25 miles an hour. Nobody goes. Anyone who's going to tell me that they're going 25 miles an hour, I'm not going to believe you.
They don't, you need somebody to enforce the rules because they can't police themselves.
That's really, yeah, man, that's really what it is. I came through on the 10-foot wide section that exists on the Greenway now, and there were 2 people walking side by side, and I was almost off the path, and someone else had to stop and wait for me because I had gotten to in the nice weather. Substantially, that head up. this was brought up by some of the other folks who came in to testify about the Greenway project, about the Pelham Parkway Mall's redesign, both at the Parks Committee meeting and at the full board meeting when we discussed it. A few people said they thought that would be a great way to try and encourage bikes, e-bikes, scooters to get off of this main roadway where there are frequently children playing on the Greenway, things like that. So whether it's the bus lane, which I don't think is a very safe option, or this other lane that is not used, trying to get people off of the Greenway that is used by folks who are walking and out for a stroll and doing this leisurely, seems like a good idea to me.
Okay,
can we keep, I'm sorry, many people here have already spoken and there's more
Right.
people up who
Yep.
have not had a chance
I'd
yet.
like to correct something, please.
Those
There-
are not hands up.
Yes, they are.
Those are hands up.
No, that's not the control panel. There's no hands up.
At the public hearing, it was.
There are people who spoke already. Can we get a chance, please?
No hands up.
Hands up. Those are all hands up.
To widening the pathway. People are not asking for certain, people are saying, as an alternative to widening the pathway, then why not put it on the service road? They didn't say we
I would
want.
suggest someone is disrupting the meeting.
Understand the request for a compliment. No, I got you.
But you don't have.
Where's hands up?
There's no hands
Because
up.
I already heard what the.
Yes, there are,
Debbie. I've been waiting.
I have also been waiting.
Diana.
Okay, where's the hands up?
You see, there's Diana, Miguel, and Ms. Slater.
All these for.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's start with Diana Finch. 2 minutes.
Hi, everyone. So what strikes me about this conversation is that everyone is just talking from their own personal experience, kind of off the top of their head, which is good to hear all the different ideas and perspectives. But what is wrong with the board just asking DOT, advise us about the feasibility of a two-way bike lane, a protected two-way bike lane, a one-way bike lane, an unprotected bike lane, because they've been through a lot of this before and they're very familiar with that road from the Pelham Parkway reconstruction project and the problems about the fire trucks making the turns coming on to Pelham Parkway North. And they know like all of the standard distances and widths and different options that you could use. So I would like it if the board, instead of saying, yes, we want a bike lane or no, we don't want a bike lane, ask the DOT, advise us about the pros and cons of a bike lane in this stretch. Is it feasible? What are the different possibilities? And then we'd have more information to go on to make this decision, and we wouldn't be fighting with each other, just each coming at it from our own personal experience.
Okay, thank you. Now we go to Kevin, who is the next registered speaker. He should be going now. Kevin. Kevin.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is the subject I was going to speak about. Thank you. And I've put a lot of comments in, so I'm not going to take a lot of time talking. First of all, I read the proposal and it's very well worded. And it really just asks the DOT as a suggestion to take a look at this. And that's what we should be looking at. And one of the things I mentioned in my chat was that, you know, we all here, every single one of us at this transportation meeting, and a lot of us have gone to more than one, we are community traffic experts, right? In our own minds, myself included. So just as Diana mentioned a minute ago, I think the letter says, hey, this was brought up for a long period last year when people were trying to negotiate the expansion of the Missoula Greenway as its width, that why can't we use the northern service road? Well, why not do that now? I mean, just because there's one, you don't want to do the other? Is that a spiteful thing? I just don't know. But I think it's a good idea to let the DOT present, not propose, just present the idea that we're requesting. So thanks for your time, and that's about it.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Ms. Slater, it's all yours, Ms. Slater.
Hi, good evening. I think it's important to hear the input of the community, whether or not we're in our silos. I think, Diane, it's important to hear what each individual experiences. So I can speak as a neighbor of yours from a pedestrian experience and from a driving experience. What I will say is this, and this is, I am not a subject matter expert, but I will say, why do we need a protected bike lane when we have Pelham Parkway itself? And we spent months and months with the Parks Department talking about widening this. Maybe we should consider, we should be smart and think of, an either or option. The other point that I want to make is I walk up Bronxdale every single day and there are protected bike lanes. Why do I see bikes that are manual bikes and motorbikes not using those protected bike lanes? I feel like this is complete insanity. We want to do something just because we think we can, instead of being thoughtful about it. No one's thinking about the impacts of real people like me. I'm not a subject matter expert, but I do walk the neighborhood very frequently. No one's thinking about that. And I think we need to hear more of that. And that's just my response. That's what I would like to consider. You know, we don't need another bike lane for Pelham Parkway that is a bike lane. That's my point of view, and I'm allowed to have that. I'm not arguing. It's just my experience and my point of view. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Slater. Thank you so
You're
much.
very welcome.
Okay, now we go to Mr. Dyer. Mr. Dyer, are you there?
Circle back.
Also got Malcolm joined.
Mr. Malcolm, how are you? Do you have something to say?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm sorry. I'm here. Should I let Malcolm go? Malcolm, go ahead. I'll go after you.
Go ahead, Malcolm. It's all yours.
Awesome. Well, to be honest, I think the bike lanes are beneficial. One, I think that they keep the communities safer. For what many people don't know, as much as we see bikers on the sidewalks, a lot of the times, and I've used the bike lanes myself, there are cars parked in the bike lane. A lot of the traffic in the community is not safe or conducive to biking within those areas. Sometimes I get a little scared and frantic that I might get hit by cars not following the rules of the street. With the bike lanes, we're ensuring that kids and bikers alike are able to travel up and down the streets safely. Um, and it's also ensuring that, our rules on the street are followed more closely. Now, I definitely understand and sympathize with a lot of the concerns of the bike lanes, and I think that there can be more conversations around rectifying some of the fears that everyone has. But overall, I think that if we're looking for safety and we're looking for easier mobility, then the bike lanes and encouraging the use of the bike lanes is definitely the way to go. So 100%, I think this is a great idea.
Okay, thank you, Malcolm. Mr. Dyer.
Hi. I just kind of wanted to take the conversation away from this very, very, I don't know, singular kind of view from certain people. Of course, your individual view is important, but everybody knows that I'm a driver. I am trying to do my part. I'm also a biker, and I realize frustration with parking and everything. I've gotten in trouble before about it, but I think that if you think on a more global scale, a little bit more macro instead of micro, like I am a driver, but I've also owned a hybrid vehicle and an electric vehicle because I'm trying to do my part. And where we have the strongest hurricane and who knows barreling into what's going to be my house on a barrier island in Florida, that concerns me. So I think bike lanes are a good thing for that. If you want to think bigger, but even bigger than that, it may be an annoyance for certain people that are driving larger vehicles to manage the traffic. But that did not, they got along just fine. Kids got to school and things got delivered when the there was parking on both sides. What is not an inconvenience is the hundreds of people that die by getting hit on a bike in this city every year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer.
There's
Okay.
still, one more person, I think,
I thought-
CHR.
Oh, that's Chris Karka.
No,
No, that's me, Christine Culpepper.
Oh, Christine Culpepper, I'm sorry. It's all yours.
Okay, so I want to agree with a lot of the things that were just said. And I want to preface what I'm going to say with the fact that I have lived in Pelham Parkway for over 25 years. I also have been a member of this community for over 45 years. I graduated from Christopher Columbus High School. I spend a lot of time on the Parkway with my husband and our two dogs, the area from Stillwell to Esplanade Avenue. Usually we spend the weekends there, maybe a couple hours at a time. And my observations are this, that there is an issue with the lanes, the path itself. It's not wide enough to accommodate both pedestrians and bikers, right? That's number one. And I'm saying this as a person who drives their car almost everywhere, right? And my observations about Ryan's ideas are, I'm in support of them because those observations about Pelham Parkway, that area where there is no parking, and it is still wide enough to accommodate trucks going through there, is something that I know is a fact because I have driven through there. I spend a lot of time driving through these areas. So I'm completely aware with what, can be accommodated in those areas and what cannot. So I am in support of a survey, a study, anything that will address this issue. But having no bike lane or no path for bikers to remain safe, I don't think is an option. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, did I do all the hands?
I think so.
I think I did all the hands. Okay, so I think we'll come down to motions committee.
May I? I'd like to speak on the subject.
Sure, go ahead, Vince.
So I do want to second on many of the points that Ryan and other folks have made. But one point that I would make, I would see a protected bike lane on the north side of Pelham Parkway Service Road as complementary to the Greenway. If you look at many major parks that have standard greenways in them, the perimeter might have a protected bike lane along it. So I don't see it as redundant. Folks who are riding their bike recreationally might want to use the greenway in the park, while someone who just wants to commute will use the protected bike lane along the perimeter of the park. So if DOT determines that this is a viable project, I would support it.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna go down to motions after we finish street activity and gallery, and then we'll see where we're going with number 4. I can do that, Chairwoman, right? I could do that, right? Okay. I don't want to say I can't do things. Okay, street activity permit. Mr. Kirka, I need your help. So, Hamilton Avenue, Strong City Records, Studio.
Rabbi, all of them are still repeats. I don't know why they put it in the agenda. It's nothing new over there.
They've all been approved?
It's been pre-approved. I mean, they are repeats. So I don't know why they keep putting and keep
And
putting, keep
19 was
putting the
the
same.
only one that you didn't vote on last month.
Okay.
They did move the International Food Festival
Right.
date. I don't know if we need to.
Okay, it's
re-vote on-
26.
No,
Okay, police have approved all of them, Chris, or you don't know?
you voted on Wilson last month?
I think we did Wilson.
Some have been canceled, some have been postponed, but it's all repeats. So
August.
it's
Can I
for you
just-
guys to have an idea. That's about it.
Can I just ask where Wilson is? Cause I asked Jeremy and he said to ask you. Where is their block party?
Let me check it out. Hold on.
Okay, okay. While Chris checks that out, I believe these Chris says these are repeats. I don't think we have to vote. And this is, I wish everybody, Allerton Avenue Strong City Record Studio, 4th anniversary. Jacoby Hospital started. Allerton International Food Festival.
Change their date for you.
To the 26th. And NIDC Block Party, which will be the 20th. I wish them all the best of luck and they should all have success. That's it. And Chris will find your answer, Debbie. Next, let's move along to gallery session. Anybody, I think the ones that were registered.
Yeah, we have it, yeah,
They all spoke. Okay, so I don't have anything on gallery. Okay, motion. I guess my question will be now, does anybody have a motion?
Hi, can I
Now,
just speak in the gallery? Sorry. This is
Gallery, that's already closed. It's done.
Well, it seems like.
Sorry, I didn't put my hand up fast enough when he said gallery.
No, I said I was doing it before, but I will let you have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
So
Okay, I'll give you both 2 minutes. Go.
It's not fair.
No, go. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Who's going, me?
Yes.
You're going for
Okay.
2 minutes.
Thank you. So I just wanted to give a brief update. The White Plains Road bike line and safety improvements are going in as we speak. And so far, so good. DOT did promise us that if there were difficulties with any of the pressure point areas, that they would consider tweaking it. One place that we're really still concerned about is where Thwaites enters onto Boston Road, especially during the rush hours, because they've reduced it to 1 lane of traffic coming off Thwaites. But the problem is people want to either go straight or turn right down Boston Road. And a lot of times during the light cycle, the cars wanting to turn right don't even make it into the intersection because the traffic on Boston Road is so heavy. So if it's all 1 lane, that's just going to be very bad congestion throughout the entire area, all the way on Thwaites, all the way up Bronx Park East, all the way to the Allerton Bronx Park East intersection. So we're just keeping a close eye on that to see how it goes. But so far, it seems to be going remarkably well. So that was all. I just wanted to report in that the work is underway, soon to be finished, and everyone's just paying very close attention to what's happening. Thanks.
Compromise. Care about the trees so much. We'll compromise until we get something in behalf to replace what we lose. But if they're going to lose the greenway and parking spot, lose, that's not fair. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roxanne. Okay. So, excuse me. Would anybody like to make a motion off of what we discussed on number 4?
I'll make a motion. I move that we, Community Board 11, send a letter to the DOT expressing our support for a protected 2-way bike lane on Pelham Parkway North between Stillwell and Bronxwood Avenue, where there is currently no parking, to help alleviate some of the traffic on the Greenway and give those who are commuting a safer way to get to and from where they need to go.
Okay.
It is parking.
Okay. Okay, so the motion is on the table, and I have how many committee members here?
That's the one we were just looking at,
Yes.
Yes. I have 3 committee members here.
And
like
Hazel.
that's
Hazel.
that's
But
good.
she's not gonna vote here, right?
That's
She can vote. We're in quorum.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's
She can vote. We're in quorum.
So do you agree with Ryan that a letter, if you do, then you can second it. You can say, okay, yeah, I agree, we can send the letter.
Or if you don't
Or if
agree
you want to
with it.
wait,
Well, like I would rather wait.
Okay, so do you approve the motion, yes or no?
I would,
I don't have a second.
You don't
She
have,
doesn't have a second.
Have a second. Okay, now, if, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this.
Okay,
Right,
wait,
okay. Wait, no, hold on, nobody called on you, no, wait. Hazel, 1 second. Am I
Did somebody,
allowed to-
wait,
Hold
did
on.
somebody? Okay,
Okay. Can I change the motion to say, expressing, what would I say, a study / support for Department of DOT to look at? I do that? Am I allowed to do that? No. Okay, so I do study? I do study?
Study something that people don't want,
No, study, just a study.
that's just waste DOT time on something that people don't want.
Okay, but then this is gonna have to go to the board anyway.
Like, it's
Exactly.
been
So
passed.
this is the.
yeah, cause I'm,
board
I'm
discussing-
opposed.
Okay, I never heard you.
Hazel,
That's it.
Hazel wanted to.
Go ahead, Hazel. We got 2 opposers here. Go ahead, Hazel.
well, no, I need to know if somebody seconded.
No,
No.
Okay,
We have no second. We have 2
well,
opposition.
if nobody seconded, the motion can't go
No, but I
anywhere.
gotta say that. Wait, I gotta officially say that or else I'll get in trouble. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Ready? Do we have a second? No. No second. Okay. So I guess the motion does not carry. Correct, Chairwoman?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Cynthia.
That's fine, Hazel.
okay,
Sorry.
okay. I guess there could be further discussion whenever we have another transportation.
Nothing prohibiting individuals contact.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's okay.
Anyone.
I come, that's what I'm saying.
The board
I'm saying
against the group.
that doesn't mean nothing. It's dead till it dies.
Thank you.
Okay,
all right.
okay, next.
My whole-
Old business, anybody old business?
The only old business I want to bring up is more paint markings on Pelham Parkway at Boston Road.
Yeah, that's, Chris has been sending emails on that, right?
Yes.
Because it's ridiculous how I can go anywhere else in the Bronx and there's 2, 3, 5 markings of something. And the one area that there's one marking and I'm asking for 1 or 2 more, it's like pulling teeth. I'm about to go out there with a can of spray paint.
Okay, Chris, if you could
Is
follow
that,
up.
quick question. Is that gonna be interjecting with the study they're doing with White Plains?
No, it's on Pelham Parkway, the left lane between White Plains Road and Boston Road. I want more than 1 left turn arrow.
Okay,
There's just 1 left turn arrow, and if 1 car is at the traffic light, he's blocking the arrow.
I got you. Okay, I'll let them know about
You said-
it. About Wilson Avenue. Wilson Avenue, that occurred on August 23rd.
Oh,
I don't know.
it says 2025 on this.
Yeah, it says 2025.
Yes,
It happened.
that's what I got. Hold on, just let me make sure. Okay, at this moment it's pending because the police department asked them for extra documentation that are needed. And the entry was done this August from the police department. I can read it to you quickly what it says. Applicant received the notification missing documentation 7 days before the requested event date, which since it's gonna be on the 25th, it's gonna wait until next year. It's a block party. And it has to do with, hold on. Tell you informational about what's going on.
Is it with the dance studio near Allerton?
No. Wilson Avenue. Bear with me 1 second.
Okay, Chris.
It's in Wilson Avenue between Astor Avenue and Waring Avenue.
Okay.
That's 1 block.
So it's like more like a private kind of a party.
Was it this year or next year? Did it happen or it didn't happen?
It did
No,
not
no,
happen.
it's gonna happen in 25th, but I said this August they put it in. The last detail from the police department. They're
Okay.
waiting for missing documentation, but they have until 7 days before the event occurs. So since it's next year, we're gonna be seeing this for many, many months
Okay.
Okay.
until it occurs.
Okay.
That's what I got so far.
Okay, on old business with anything else? Now we go to new business. This is they told me to read something on new business. That there's been an application been put up for naming, I don't know what street it is, naming it after Joe Rita, who was a former board member. The only thing I could say is details.
I think it's over by Paulding, if I recall. No, there was I
It's
read
in
the
Tambrook, Tambrook.
Pembroke.
Okay.
That's
so
where he lives. That's where he
future-
used to live.
Yeah, future attraction. We have new business over there.
It's actually old business.
Okay, old, new, whatever it is.
We just, with the, on White Plains Road in Allerton, with the new, parking patterns, we have a pigeon issue underneath the trestle. One needs to be cleaned because of all the feces and, painted. But now, being that it's moved in closer underneath the train, all the cars that park there are now white. And it's not even an exaggeration, whereas if they were on the curb, it would hit a little bit of the door, not as much. Now that it's closer in, it's literally right under their nesting, so something.
It's all the MTA guy to take it back to. Okay, so Chris, you heard that? We got a
Where,
little.
what location?
White Plains Road and Allerton. By
Okay.
Primo. We just had, Tour de
Send,
Bronx.
send me information, please. Email me and pictures, please, so I can.
Okay.
You guys know I'm a volunteer, right? I don't get paid. Okay, you gotta give me more work. It should have been done beforehand. But I love you, so I'll do it.
Okay, next.
Tour de Bronx came through Allerton without a problem, Bronxwood Avenue, if you're talking to bicyclists. And they're going north, that's the way to go through Allerton, not White Plains Road. And, we have a bike path that's literally, 5 inches from, the train station that we brought to the council members' attention and the assembly members' attention. It's a safety issue. Fortunately, we don't have many bicycles going up because they know it's a hazard riding up White Plains Road. So bicycles go up Bronxwood, it's safer, it's nice and open, visible. White Plains Road is very dangerous for bicycles.
Correct. Okay, well taken. Anybody else, old, new? Any?
Miguel, was there an old or new?
No more. That was just over.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to go on that. I mean, talking about, I obviously bike and I don't take White Plains Road because the enforcement's bad. So we might want to try and get ahead of that. They did just, as Diana mentioned, they just finished the painting just south of Allerton in the past couple of days. And we don't want to be like our colleague from, was it 12, who came and spoke to us about not being able to keep it clear and try to bring it up to
Yeah,
public safety.
Yeah,
But
DOT still hasn't fixed the issue in 12, so 12's mess is gonna extend into 11.
well, it's not, I mean, it's NYPD and, you know, our 4-9 has an average of over 4 hours to respond to a 311. So I'm sure when I say something, they're going to say call 311, but then they're not going to come for 4 hours.
I'd rather the 4-9 or the 4-7 for that matter respond to a gunshot incident than to worry about, you know.
Each year we
somebody
lose
from-
as many people to traffic violence as we do to other means. So it does matter and it does affect people's lives.
You know, but we got only so many cops.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But I agree with you. But like someone thought it's wait, that's just I think there's a character issue. Like it depends on the spirit. It's a spiritual issue because like if people come with bad intentions in the train, they're gonna think weird. You know, it's and you're having like a feeling like alienated type of thing. That's kind of like makes it more harder for people like to trust. So like that's like now that COVID is the end of COVID is going down and business is coming back up. There's like the whole COVID lockdown like vibe is ending. There's no more there's no curfew. People are going back to their jobs, the business, looking for jobs, they look for work. And and so like to it's good to get away from like the whole, okay, it's more like how to clean the place up, how do we clean the pigeons, make sure the pigeons, there's no like mess.
We've been fighting the pigeons for years.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up.
Yes, I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
Now we got a second. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good evening, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Get home safe.